Good afternoon, and welcome to another Super Secret Project sketch. This is Eric Whalen from Super Secret Project X, and today I just got up from a nap. This is the second in a short series of I'm on staycation. I'm in my PJs, not shaved. Showered, mind you, but not shaved, and I gotta say, Joe, sup.
Hey Joe, how's it going?
So today, I neglected to center my sketchbook. That is how organized I am.
Actually, it's probably my fault because since I've been working over there, I probably bumped it when I was doing my notes.
That's my fault, sweetie. You didn't do jack. I didn't move my buck because I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. So that was on me. That hideous oversight.
I know. Oh no, you're.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Got to get some Joe in because I still got some nap in my head. You try a lazy afternoon, falling asleep to total drama-rama. It's a slight trip.
I was about to say you had to have some weird subconsciousness going on there.
Not a ton. It was mostly that half sleep where you're not entirely asleep, but you're slightly awake and you hear the insane madness.
Well, I'm saying, as far as subconscious, you had to have some really bizarre, what's the word I'm looking for, lucidness going on.
As you were sketching, I am digitally coloring. Good for you, dude. That's a
Nice.
fun thing to do.
Extreme.
I know. We're doubling up on the art today.
Woohoo! That's right.
So,
Art pros.
so as I go in and I draw myself some Duck Dodgers, that's what I'm doing today. Feel free to follow along at home or do yourself some art of your own persuasion.
Art of your own persuasion. That sounds like a Phil Collins album.
Yeah.
Either
Get that written down in some nice thin 80s font, you'd be all set.
Either Phil Collins or Peter Gabriel.
Let's go with Phil Collins.
Art of your own persuasion.
Let's go with some Phil Collins on that one. Still one of my favorite little,
yeah. That's the breaks.
what is the name of that drum?
It's the electronic drum.
No, but there was a specific, I remember somebody told me it had a specific name to it.
Probably a synth drum?
Probably is. Somebody was like, oh, you mean the blank drum? I'm like, oh, yeah, yes. I totally know what I'm talking about. Yes, that's the one.
Probably my music knowledge, unfortunately, that's one of the few things that I don't know about is, I know what they are, I know what they sound like, but as far as the particular names of a lot of the 80s electro stuff, I'm like, yeah, I know what that is, and wait, what's the name of it?
Yeah, I've simply come to the conclusion on things. People should not be embarrassed of old stuff, even if it's ridiculous. It's what that made that time period awesome. And to be honest, you should not be using that kind of like 80s synth drum sound a lot. But when you do,
You better make
do
sure
it because it sounds cool,
Well,
you
better
know?
make sure you know what you're doing with it, because using it too much,
Oh, it could suck, yeah.
it
No
comes
doubt.
off as being almost patronizing. It's like with most things, especially when it comes to historical things. You better know what you're doing with it if you're going to do it. If you're going to use
Absolutely.
it, and if you're going to talk about it, if you're going to use it, if you're going to do it, you better know what you're doing with it. Because one of the things I'm seeing nowadays is there's a trend of people doing a lot of 80s and especially 90s stuff, because we're now heading into the time where 90s stuff is now
Yeah,
becoming.
we're getting out of 80s, we're going into 90s.
Exactly. And it's now becoming the
We're
fashion.
slowly approaching Smash Mouth again.
Dude, Smash Mouth has already been going through with a lot of
It's already done did.
Yeah, it got done did.
They already done did the Smash Mouth.
Yes.
Which, no offense to Smash Mouth fans, I'm not a fan of Smash Mouth. I just
The
am
reason
not.
why it was they've been doing it now is because of Shrek.
Okay, Shrek is like it's the only reason why I'm like cool with, because I just like the movie. So I'm like, oh, okay, no, that's fine. It's not a great song, but it didn't suck. But Smash Mouth in general,
Yeah, I think once again, me being a music head that I am, it's like I appreciate them and I like some of their sound, but they're not
well,
on
they're,
my.
you know,
I wouldn't go out of my way to listen to them.
well, they're just like, college rock, which again, nothing wrong with, but it's not really my kind of.
Rhetorical question.
Hmm.
College rock. Now, anything can be college rock.
Technically.
I'm about to say, because I mean, when my mom was in college versus when we were in college versus when our like younglings
true.
are going to be in college, it's going to be considered college rock.
True. I think to me, there was always a certain sound, like you hear a song and you go like, that's a song where dudes don't wear a shirt while throwing frisbees. Kind of a song. That kind of, that sort of college rock where you see that people of a certain age are hanging out listening to it, drinking their first brewski with their friends,
But I think that also may be just the sign of the times, or the sound of the times also, because
Yeah, that's true.
Because I know
True.
yeah, I know, like,
Truth.
Tis the truth.
It is the truth.
Dodgers
Yes, of the 23rd and a half century. It's funny. When I was a kid, I always wanted more Duck Dodgers because there was only like 2 or 3 originally, right? There wasn't many Duck Dodgers that they did. They only did a handful
there
of
was
them.
like either 3 or 4.
Was there that many? Because I remember 2 for sure, and then I remember I think a third one, but I'm not.
Well, there was the original.
Yeah. So I always loved those crazy space stations that were just walkways in space with like the electric lights and
the
stuff,
giant
and
glass tubes everywhere.
yeah, and the glass tubes and the giant electric eye that rolls down and stares at him as he walks by. Loved that stuff.
Okay, no, there was. You're right. I think there was maybe. I know there. Yeah, like, I think there maybe was a
I only
third
remember a
one. I
couple.
think. Yeah, there was the first one.
But when they did, and I still haven't gotten through all of it yet. I've been meaning to get back to it. But the
2000s.
the 2000s Duck Dodgers show. Oh, the fact they got Tom Jones to do the opening song. Oh yeah.
When Plucky Duck visited this IP. That I've only seen that once. I vaguely remember that one.
I think I saw that back when it first came out.
Yeah, like I think I may have watched it in passing or something like that, because didn't have cable, and then when we did have cable, a lot of stuff was just like randomly spit out, so I had no idea when it was on. I'll go down the hole. I want the blue ball, not the red ball. I want the blue ball.
Put down the hole. I haven't heard that in so long.
Oh man, there was one that they did, and I'm trying to remember what it was, but it was a callback to Baby Plucky out of nowhere, and it was so brilliant. Oh man, I wish it was Animaniacs. I can't remember, but something happened where a character just falls down, and Baby Plucky just comes out of nowhere. They go down the hole. I would laugh so freaking hard. Oh man.
Yeah, it was funny when Animaniacs and Tiny Toons first came out. And Tasmania.
Oh, Tasmania was early 90s.
Yeah, but they were all kind of. There was sort of a
Yeah,
soft
they were,
movement as they started doing those
the
shows.
Warner Animation was coming in, yeah.
Yeah, and it's I just loved them like a lot. Like that was like the shows I just had a ton of fun with. And then I don't know why everything came up on Netflix and I have had no interest, and I can't figure out why, because I loved these shows.
That's one of the reasons why I haven't been watching, because I've been waiting for you, and it's like,
Oh, Don,
okay,
make me sit down and watch it, because for whatever reason I keep flicking over it, and admittedly I'm not always sure what mood I'm in to watch something, and usually I'm trying to watch something while I'm doing art, so I don't want to watch something new or something that I have to pay attention to. Hence, Total Drama Rama was on earlier. I was screwing around, then I took a nap to it. And so sometimes you're just like, oh, I kind of want to sit down and actually watch this again, but I can't because I'm going to try to do some artwork or whatever. And yeah, I know it's kind of dumb. It sort of makes sense and is dumb at the same time.
Tasmania, to me, that was one of those ones that was underrated because it had a pretty good fan following, but it just didn't seem to get nearly as much. It didn't get much accolade as much as Tiny Toons and Animaniacs, which rightfully so, because both of those were just off
They
the
were
cuff,
great shows,
crazy,
yeah.
Fun.
Well, so was Tasmania, though. Like, I just love the fact that Taz was still the kind of Taz, and like his dad was, why don't you come over to the house, son, and have yourself a tall glass of orange juice? You know, and he was just always like,
OJ. Yeah, he was
OJ, that was it.
He was Bing Crosby. Like, good old sit down, nice cold glass of OJ. And then his mom was just like the sweet, well, but she was sweet because she was the businesswoman, and then he had his older sister. No, he was the oldest, and then it was his sister, and then his baby brother. And I like the fact that in his bedroom he just had a tire swing.
Yeah. Well, all the versions, it's like funny. So many people just get so married to one version of Taz or Duck Dodgers or any of the others that they start getting mad when they change stuff. And sometimes I don't want them to change stuff, and sometimes it's awesome when they do. Like with the newer Tiny Toon show, where Taz, they just turned him into the dog, so he never said anything. So he was this alternate version of Taz that was actually very funny. But Duck Dodgers just is sort of that wonderfully perfect version. I almost said Donald. I am just still waking up. Daffy Duck, Donald. When I need a drunken sailor, I'll go for Donald.
It's the other duck.
It's the other duck. He's awesome too, but he's far more violent than this version. Daffy's underhanded and cruel. Donald is just foul-mouthed and violent. Together, they really make a great pair. It's a shame they never put them together. They're almost a pack of villains.
Somebody, because I was looking up, what was I looking up? It was something with, I was looking up on Darkwing Duck a couple nights ago because I was for the one poster I was working on, for the one print. And so, of course, they had various other ducks, and there was this one shot of Donald, and it was one of the shorts I remember watching. And I think I only saw once when he was trying to get rid of Chip and Dale, and he was trying to exterminate them, and he had like a varmint spray of some sort, and it's just this great shot of him straight on, that he has the most evil pointed teeth. And I remember as a kid watching that going, what the heck? And then so that image popped up again.
Oh, Disney used to be amazing.
Tasmania, Joe says, Tasmania shocked people with something that was plausible. Taz being from the stereotypical suburban family.
You kind of half expected the next door neighbor to be like those suburban kids that were pro wrestling and jumping off the roof. You know, then there'd be Taz.
Well, in a sense, I mean, they were in Tasmania. He had, the one alligator brothers that were always trying to hunt him. No, there was a hunter. Oh crap! As this theme song is literally going through my head right now. Welcome to the land of that way on the down under. The sky is always yellow, rain or shine. Come to Tasmania, come to Tasmania. Yeah, I'm literally going through the cast of characters because they had them in the song. Didgeridoo, Wendell T. Wolf, Bushwhacker Bill is never uncouth.
It's been a while since I've heard that song.
There was another line, somebody with their nautical mom. Nautical mom. And it's like literally going through all the characters. Kiwis, the bush rats. Have we left anybody out? And then Taz comes busting through the card, the title card, and then it slams down on his fingers. That's what always cracked me up in the opening scene, the opening sequence. It's like, have we left anyone out? Like, oh yeah, we forgot about Tasmania, and like the whole thing just falls down, and it crushes his fingers, and you see his fingers like just stretched out in pain as they get pulled back. Like, oh.
Well, that's what I liked about, this is so funny. Not that I don't like Steven Spielberg anymore. That's not what I'm saying. Is like the original runs of Steven Spielberg movies were like amazing movies. And then in that time period, Steven Spielberg presents, and then it gets into like the cartoons we were wanting to see again. Like, yeah, Steve, you go. And then again, I believe it was like Saving Private Ryan, if I remember. So he was getting really good movies. And then the only thing I can recall lately is like he'll do scenes in like the second Transformers movie, and it was just a dreadful movie. I mean, no offense to people who like it, but I could not. I did not enjoy that one. I enjoyed the first one, and I liked the cartoon, but that one was just, it was so screwed up, and then it was just like, Steve, come back to us. Come on, Steven. Come back to us, man. Do your amazing movies and shows
at that
again.
Point, he had pretty much like sold and bought a lot of stuff, but he was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna retire and have all. I just use have
Which is
all the
fine.
money and do all this stuff, and I'll stamp my name on everyone's stuff every once in a while.
Yeah, and I ain't even beginning to like judge the guy for probably enjoying life and just being like, we'll just do a stupid popcorn movie. But I like stupid popcorn movies. I'm not gonna judge. It's just kind of like you sort of grow up on something. You go, oh, Steven Spielberg, yeah. And then it's, I mean, maybe I'm missing something that he's done recently that's like really amazing. But he kind of just, he was like this like force of nature for a while, and then it was kind of like,
Yeah, 'cause didn't he,
I'm gonna go comb my beard,
with my hundreds of thousands
with my
of
billions
dollars.
of dollars, yeah, which is fine. I
His
mean,
name was on Amazing Stories too, right? Wasn't Steven Spielberg?
yeah, I think he was one of the Amazing Stories
Which
guys.
we still haven't seen the new ones yet.
I've been meaning to. It's
They're on Apple TV.
is it Key or Peel?
Jordan Peele.
Peel, thank you.
Mhm.
It's the problem when they couple up two names next to each other. I hear for a long time. Then after that, I can never remember which one it is.
Oh, you say they look alike, huh? Huh?
Well, no, not those two, because one's clearly lighter than the other. No, it's I've listened to interviews with McKee, and he seems like the nicest dude. And I haven't seen a ton of Peele stuff yet. I've been meaning to, because it looks really good. It's just for whatever reason, it's like the horror movie
Yeah, we have
with.
Get Out, yeah.
Not the other one, the other one with the family. That one, no, Get Out looked. I've been wanting to watch that. It looks good, but the one with the family looks
Yeah,
amazing. It's like Us or
yeah,
something
Us,
like
yeah.
Us. Yeah, I saw the ad for that, and I'm like, especially what I really love is, and I love it when actors can do this. The dad in the commercial looked like your nice, kind of soft, happy dude. And then the horror version of him is really terrifying, and I'm like, oh, that actor did a great job. And
Hey, James Sir.
hey, man, how's it going?
Lincoln and Bridge of Spies are good movies. Okay. Apparently it's from Spielberg?
Lincoln and Bridge. I've heard of that. I have not seen them. I have not seen a lot of things recently. I have been in my freaking house for like 13 weeks now. In some ways, this has actually been really nice. In other ways, I'm a little tired of looking inside the house, so. Thank God for coffee. All right. But yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
How did we get to where we were?
Yeah, it was like well, Steven Spielberg.
Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
And his dad, Greg. You know, Steven Spielberg living with the gems. Oh, Steven. Oh, Steven. Be great if Steven Spielberg has the rose quartz crystal in his gut and
Just walking around wearing the star shirt.
being very sensitive. Oh, Steven.
Steven!
Boy's in a whole lot of trouble. Lovely.
We'll clean it up. No, we won't. I'll clean it up.
There was so much that was right about Steven Universe. And you know it was right because people didn't react to it all in the same way. That's why it was right. Which, by the way, I have finished Last of Us 2. Wow, what a game. You know how when you watch a movie and you're done and the credits are rolling and you're in the theater and you stand up and you leave? But a really good movie, sometimes you just sit there and you just keep staring as the credits are going by. And you're like, I'm going to listen to the music, let it blah, blah, blah. The end of Last of Us 2 hit, and I sat there staring. I was just going like, holy crap. I mean, it took me 30 hours. That was a 30-hour game. And it's not 30 hours of like leveling up and grinding. It was 30 hours of like story. It's a serious game. You know, Freakazoid, weirdly enough, that was one show it either wasn't playing in my area, or I think it wasn't because I had heard of it. I had never actually seen Freakazoid. Later on, I'd seen some bits and pieces, and I thought it was funny, but that was one show. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think that it wasn't in my area.
Well, it came on when I didn't have cable, and that's when WB Network, all the shows when WB Network came their own thing, and it was it was running on their thing, and it came on one of WB afterwards, because it popped on in syndication.
Wait, did that come on early when we were in college, or was that when we would have been in high school?
That I think when we were early in college.
Okay, that would explain it, because I didn't have any cable or anything back then. I was all on antenna.
Yeah, and I think it was.
My TV was like that big.
Yeah, same here, and because I remember I liked the concept of Freakazoid, but I
remember thinking it looked like a good show.
I think I've only seen like 1 or 2 episodes, and that was way after it was.
It's nice to know that both of us seem to not be absolutely perfect in our knowledge of things.
Except that one, but yeah, I know the songs. The song cracked me up. Freakazoid, Freakazoid.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. Yeah, I remember hearing that.
Yeah, because that was also when they started seriously doing a lot of the. It was they did I shouldn't say they did, but Freakazoid was kind of like the counterbalance to at Batman animated series, because it was like it was just so crazy silly.
Well, they had to. I mean that was a good way of putting balance onto like a network. Is you don't want all your shows looking the same. I don't care what kind of a fanboy you are. You don't want everything always being the stuff that you are always going to get into, because you'll just keep watching the exact same. So the fact that they had Batman the Animated Series and Freakazoid on there, even though I loved the Batman the Animated Series, but never saw Freakazoid.
Yeah, and I think, and even after that, that's when they started doing. Let me think. Was Freakazoid? I think Freakazoid was that before or after Superman. Is there?
I want to say after, but
There we go. James says 93, 95 played on WGN in my area. Yeah, we didn't have WGN.
no, I don't think
I'll
we
say
had.
that was, wow, 93, 95? Really? Huh.
Because
So
that's
that was,
earlier
if
than
I
I
say,
thought.
yeah,
it
that's
would've been.
that's late high school, first year of first college for me.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
That. I guess in that case, I would have been about high school.
Yeah.
So
It was
93,
93, yeah.
95.
That
Yeah.
was my junior year, and that was like your sophomore year.
Yeah, I was right around there, and yeah, mustn't just. I guess it wasn't playing in my area. I love the area I came from, but sometimes they just never got stuff.
We didn't have cable, so yeah, because WGN was a cable channel in my area. So, and because I know Chicago, WGN is a Chicago station, so that would be at least, yeah, it would have been a normal TV station here.
Yeah,
but for
over in
Indiana-
Michigan, if you had a really good antenna and you lucked out, you could still get the Chicago stations. But
not in Indiana. It was
no, I was about to say.
you had your four basic. You had CBS, ABC, NBC, PBS. There was WFFT, which was a Fox derivative, and then you had corn.
You had corn. At least you won't go hungry.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. Oh, it says, Ed Asner is the communication board member. Classic.
95, 97.
So it was like early college then. So yeah, early college. But yeah, I like the concept of it. Just the weird, crazy. I like the fact that the way he got around was literally running around with his hands out, pretending he was flying.
Oh, what I find really funny, and I was extremely into only a certain number of things back in those days. I still loved stuff, but I was like, I just sort of had more of an obsession on certain things. And the real funny thing is it at the time never paid off. I was really into anime and manga and stuff. Mm-hmm. Never paid off. It still technically doesn't. I mean, it's like I'm a nobody. It's what I am. But the simple fact that once I started, for me personally, once I started looking at all the different stuff out there, going like, wait a minute, I could learn all this stuff from anime and manga, but I would be lacking all the stuff from all these other things that are just really marvelous. You know, Duck Dodgers and this and that and blah blah. And I just got to a point where I'm going like, cartooning is cartooning. The stuff that I have a hard time with because I have steadily changed my mind on, and I hate to put it, but the uglier styles, the styles that are so super flat, and the thing is stuff like Adventure Time, and that falls into that, and I've since changed my mind. I still prefer the more beautiful kind of illustrative sort of stuff, but I love what you can do with it. But once you go past a certain ugly level, I just still have a hard time with it. Like there's this, I forget the name of it. It's a 3D. It's on Hulu or Netflix. It's a 3D show. It is so butt ugly that I cannot even bring myself to click on it. And it's just the ugliest, most primitive looking show. And maybe it's amazing, but I'm trying not to be a snob. But just go like, this is visually unappetizing. Whereas like Adventure Time and stuff, once I got used to it, I'm like, oh no, this is a visual delight. Now that I've gotten over myself,
and you had to convince me to watch Adventure Time because I had
and regular show too. I was like, you need to watch regular show, and you were like, no. I'm like, oh, you need to see this, hon. I was like,
see, you were just getting me back because it was the same thing with me and you with Kim Possible.
Yep.
And with what was it? A couple other ones that.
Now, to be fair, I did try Kim Possible. I caught really weak episodes. I really did. I caught a couple of like the weakest episodes from like season 1, the weakest season. And when we moved to Chicago for the job, I had basically only a handful of stations, and Disney XD, I think, was one of them. I think it was Disney XD.
It was the Disney Channel.
Okay, well, it was a Disney Channel. And so, like, every night, one of the only things that was on was Kim Possible. So I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to give this another shot. I was going to play it again. And then I caught one really good episode, and I was just, it was like a slap in the face. I'm like, wait, what? This isn't the show I had caught before. This is really funny. You know, and I really got into it. So I kind of got screwed on that one. I really did, like, when somebody goes, no, just try to watch an episode, and then you catch the worst episode, and you're like, this show sucks. Yeah. You know, that's what happened to me on Kim Possible. I'm like, and I felt like, I felt kind of dumb afterwards, because I was going like, oh, no, people were telling me the truth. This was a good show. I legitimately watched, and even the art style, though almost the same, was still not quite as well developed in the first season. They were still figuring stuff out, and I don't remember which episodes I saw, but I must have rewatched them. Just going like, oh, okay, no, this was first season. The later seasons are wonderful. Okay, this isn't so bad. I'll wait for the better episodes to pop up, kind of a thing.
His regular show was great. Yeah,
oh.
Yeah, it was.
So the thing that and it changed by the end, but the thing that I loved about regular show, I loved it because there was like a countdown happening. You never heard the countdown, but it started, and it started from the moment the episode started, and it's going, and you're like, all right, we got Rigby, we got Mordecai, things are rolling. When's it gonna go freaking crazy? And there was that moment where the whole show would flip over and turn into the most insane, crazy thing. And I would always be waiting for that moment where stunning insanity would just rock the show. And my favorite one to this day, and there's a number of them that I really love, but it's the one where they're trying to get rid of the geese. These horrible, awful geese. And it's just totally like two doofuses with towels trying to scare geese off. And it turns into a mecha fight. I'm just going like, oh my god, that's a giant three-headed King Goosera. You know?
Geesera.
Geesera.
Now, was that the one with the baby ducks?
That's the one with the baby ducks, yes.
Yo, baby ducks.
Yeah, love baby ducks. Some of the other ones, admittedly, I didn't laugh as hard. I love the one where Mitch thought he was going bald, and so he was trying to shake his pecs to make sure that his girlfriend didn't notice the bald spot until his pecs went thermonuclear, and they started glowing and shaking, and every woman couldn't stop falling in love with them. I was just dying. That is comedic genius on a level that's just... Oh my god, brilliantly funny. Because it's just this ugly green dude with a... I'm just going like, oh jeez.
They won't stop.
Stop looking at my boyfriend. It's just Starla starts whooping the chicks, and I'm just going like, I love this show.
Hypnotized, all the guys got angry.
Oh yeah, no, regular show is amazing. And the thing is and I'm actually always behind this. Whether or not it's a good idea, I'm always behind it. Try something new.
Yeah.
They were brave because their formula was epic. It was one of the funniest, and for a while there, one of the seasons, and I still thought it was a good season, I didn't laugh at it nearly as much. Mm-hmm. One of the later seasons where they were trying to break that pattern. And it was a good season, but I just didn't. And then eventually that led into them going into space season, which is the last season, and I thought that was hilarious. It wasn't hilarious in the same way, but it was hilarious, and it was brave of them to try a different direction because it was like they had a thermonuclear device that they could just whip out every single time, coming up with this hilarious when the world flips over and everything goes wrong was great, but they were brave and They reworked it.
There was time period after the Media Wars, yeah.
Oh yeah, the Media War stuff. Oh my god, I loved all of those dudes. Like they would
Laserdisc,
beta, reel to reel,
DVD.
and I loved how dead serious they took everything. Like they did. They did the Santa Claus Christmas stuff as if it was an '80s action movie, and it was just funny, just good stuff. And
Yeah, I like a lot of their homages to '80s stuff. I like the fact that it was just
they didn't care if the kids didn't get it. They were like, no, just go full bore.
yeah, and it was literally like they were. It was like, I mean, the show could have been like put in the '80s with a lot of the stuff that they were talking about, like with VHS tapes and video games.
But no, they were just poor dudes that didn't have a ton of stuff, so they were like still grabbing VHS tapes and stuff, and I thought that was great.
Joe says the last season was Pops' origin.
Oh yeah, oh my God, Pops.
Pops, he was the hero that we all
Woo!
needed. Oh my gosh, I'm just like, you know what? I feel like I
Every
should
time
cry.
he got hit, I felt horrible.
I know.
I'm like, oh, poor Pops. It's just like,
And they would make him
and
cry.
I'm like, oh no, Pops, no.
You made Pops cry. You're
Don't-
evil.
Don't make Pops cry. We love you, Pops.
I'm just saying, no, I was laughing like crazy when they were doing the was that the boys' night? The boys' night.
Boys' night.
And,
Yeah.
and they had to do the challenge with the milk.
Oh my God.
And Pops just kept doing it, and he would just get sick. And he was like, Pops, are you okay in there? And he was just all, he comes out, his nose is drooping, he's all shriveled up.
So good.
Oh man, I laughed so freaking hard. And I was like, oh, Pops. And I love how they just made him just this kind of fop that became like just the hero at the end.
Yeah.
I'm like, that was awesome.
Well, that's what I liked about the show is they did the most bizarre, abnormal characters on it that they could have come up with, but then they made you care for them.
Yeah.
Muscle Man, total douche.
Yeah.
Total douche. But he's a douche with a heart.
Yeah.
That's what I love about Muscle Man.
Yeah, he would have been the dude that normally would have been the bully and stuff.
Really.
Yeah. really.
Yeah. Oh man, just everything about regular show. And I have not caught their new one.
Yeah, was it the mini movie?
No, not regular show.
Oh,
the
the-
people
the-
that they came up with another
Oh.
series. I haven't seen any of it yet.
Is it Central Park?
Something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, because it was that's the
And I haven't seen any of it.
Is it Justin? Oh shoot! Not
Well, it's like there's a number of them. It's like I love Rick and Morty, and I have criticisms of Rick and Morty, but overall I think it's a brilliant show. But it's my criticism is with how they do the stuff, and I saw Solar Opposites, and that criticism carried over to Solar Opposites. The start of it was a little slow, but as I kept going, I really enjoyed Solar Opposites. But my criticism is they too regularly fall into hyper-violence when it seems as if they didn't have a better idea. Sometimes the hyper-violence really works in Rick and Morty and Solar Opposites. Sometimes it really legitimately, like, there's a scene in Solar Opposites where these kids need to be cured of like this infection that turns them into horrible flesh-eating ghouls. And so they use medical weaponry that whenever they like slice the monster open, they then reseal back up and they're healed back to perfectly normal. And I was laughing my butt off because it was so ridiculously violent. And people be like, oh, and then a head would like split open, then it'd be like, what? And it would seal all back up again, and then they'd look over and they'd be like, thanks, man. And it was like I was laughing really hard because it was ridiculous. So, and when it's really clever, it's really, really clever. They had one Solar Opposites had one cheap joke that I just felt it was so cheap it actually drug the show down. It just hit this moment where I was going like, that's Family Guy level stuff, guys. You're better than that, you know. But overall, it's I enjoyed it. So I love seeing when a really successful show, the people go and make another show. You know, I love seeing how they change or how they stay the same, or if they have like they use like the same tactics, kind of a thing.
Yeah, Pendleton Ward, he did one that's directly to Netflix. That's definitely not for kids, called Midnight Gospel.
Yeah, I was about to say
And-
I heard one of an interview with the other creator of it.
It's,
Maybe it's good. I don't know. I haven't seen it,
it's
so I
based
can't
off
say much.
of, they took a podcast from like their podcast
Yeah.
talks that they had been doing and actually animated them. And so they're all supposed to be like these weird, almost like surreal, trippy kind
Well,
of.
the other creator, and I'm not going to be like he's a huge stoner, but the other guy is way out there. He's a way out dude, and I don't know Pendleton Ward. I've seen a picture of him, and I know that he's done Adventure Time. So I don't know if he's way out there or that.
He's kind of a quirky, weird dude. He also did Adventures of Flapjack.
Oh, sure.
To give you an idea of some of the weirdness.
What I'm saying though is I don't know what his personality type is, so I'm kind of going off of very little information on any of these guys personally.
Okay.
I do like to see how their work evolves though, but they also have like this hard thing being like, imagine starting not, and I realize he had other work before then, but really when people think of you, your first work being Adventure Time. I mean, think of that. Rebecca Sugar, her first real thing is Steven freaking Universe. I mean, there's shows where people are like, oh yeah, I did this show, and people didn't really like it, and blah blah blah, and then it builds up and people gain a following. No, they started with shows that were like smash hits, and I'm kind of going like,
well, that's what I'm saying.
how do you? It's like you're almost crippling yourself psychologically. How do I do better than that? You know,
I mean, with Pendleton
like I
Ward,
know I'm a nobody, but
like I said, with Pendleton Ward, I mean, he went from Flapjack being a successful show.
no, wasn't he a storyboard artist and not the creator, right?
I thought
he was just a storyboard artist
I
on
thought
that.
he was a creator of that. Hold on, let me check to make sure.
See, I was of a. I honestly I don't know. It was kind of like Rebecca Sugar, I believe, was a storyboard artist on Adventure Time.
Yes, she was a storyboard artist and did some of the music and stuff on there too. James says he wholeheartedly agrees with you on Rick and Morty. Penn is really, really, really shy and thoughtful.
I had lunch with him once.
You lucky son of a gun.
Okay,
living the life, man.
James, I really want to say this. You're like one of my heroes, man. When I was back in college, I was just honestly trying to do anything. And no matter how hard I tried, I didn't get anywhere. But you freaking went out and you did stuff, dude. And honestly, good for you. Because heavens knows I tried, but there's something missing in my skill set, or there's something missing in my drive. That's weird because I've been working my butt off trying to make this work for 2 decades now, and I guess I just don't know how to do it. So I just gotta sit here and do cartooning, I guess. But you got out there and you figured it out, and good for you, because you were always one of my favorite dudes back at Kendall. And a lot of people just talked like they were big, but you just went out and you were just like, no, let's just have fun, blah blah blah. You did the thing, and then I'm going like, man, I hope that guy gets somewhere. He's such a cool dude. And then I'm like, oh crap, like,
He did it.
he done did it. Like, good for you, man. Honestly.
Okay, yes, he was a storyboard artist on Flapjack, and then let's see. Wow, he see, the artist worked in pairs when it came to he worked with Mike Roth, who was the supervisor producer of Regular Show, and then he worked with Alex Hirsch.
I was about to say, I was like, Wow.
And the experience from there, which got him to do Adventure Time. And he also did Bravest Warriors. That was the other one I couldn't remember.
Did I ever see that?
It was like little shorts that popped on.
Right.
They
No,
were-
I never saw any of that.
No, you didn't. It was like little mini shorts that was on YouTube for a bit because it was through Frederator Studios, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, when they were doing like their little shorts and stuff, so they did that, and then he did yeah. Oh. Do what I did. Build up from the ground up and not live in
Thank you.
other companies. Yeah. Yeah, we're trying, Joe.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I've been a production artist now for 16,
More than that.
17 years now,
Yeah.
and it's nothing against the company or the people. We have a culture where it's starting to change. It's starting to get much better. But for the longest time, we were only cogs. We were only bricks in a wall. I'm afraid psychologically that has somewhat scarred me a bit because there was a whole lot of no one gives a crap. And that is a tough thing for somebody to deal with when they're trying to make something of themselves. But it's getting better and such. And honestly, we've got a nice place, we've got a good life, blah blah blah. But it's like the thing that I love. I can't seem to figure out how to make it work. First world problems, honestly. Oh, you're living well, blah blah blah, yada yada. You can't make your dream work. I know what that sounds like, but it is still frustrating, where you're really legitimately trying to do stuff, and the fact that you love this stuff. And somebody out there, this means something, and I know there's a number of you guys out there that enjoy watching this, and some are friends and some are family of ours, and blah blah blah. And thank you, honestly, because it's like I spend so much time doing artwork that honestly feels like it's only for me because most of the time it really does feel like just nobody gives a crap. And that is when your craft is trying to make people care about something. I'm not saying it's crushing because I'm not like a super soppy artist type. Oh, if only people would love me. But it's just a little tough where you go like, man, what am I? Like I'll just go onto like social media and then to be like some 13-year-old kid just spews something down and it's admittedly pretty good, but it's not like they've spent more than a couple thousand hours at most, and I'm at like what 40,000 hours at this point. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? That is frustrating.
Well, I think that's what it is. The 13-year-old was born online.
Yeah, honestly, I'm starting to think that's. But I also don't want to sit there and go like, well, my artwork's perfect. It's got to be the fact that he's just a 13-year-old online. I'm trying to come at it from a direction of what am I doing wrong,
I would have never gotten into another company to do comics, so I just started doing it myself. Maybe that's what people thought. Yeah, and honestly, dude, you are one of the harder working people that we've seen when it comes to your comics and stuff. So good on you for that. And honestly, I wish I had your work ethic and your kick buttness, man. Because wow.
There's a certain amount of business that I know how to do, but then it just ends, and then I just don't know what to do. So there's a certain amount of I don't know how to get my stuff out there, and I'm hoping that changes. I'm trying to get help with that problem. But it's like I've been working on writing books now for a while, and I've got a number of them that I got one specifically that's with my editor right now, and I've got another that I'm working on because we went over the project, and she's like, well, if you can go in and do this and this and bring it all together and blah blah blah. And so I'm trying to do those changes, and so we're trying to get first number of books out so I can do a release and all of that. Maybe somebody will care, maybe not, but ultimately speaking, I do this stuff without sounding selfish for me. And so I'm doing stuff where I just go like, I don't know if anyone's going to like anything. I know that some of my beta readers really enjoyed some of the stuff. So I'm kind of hoping that maybe I can, bring some action and adventure and laughter and this and that. Because that's kind of the thing that, don't get me wrong, I want to make money. I want to be able to retire and be a crazy old coot. Do not mistake me. I'm not going like, I ain't doing this for the money. That's the default. That, of course, is in there. That would be wonderful. But when I was young and I didn't have many friends, and outside of family and a couple friends, no one liked me. And what I did have is I had my cartoons, and I had my comic books, and I had my video games. And somebody out there, many people out there that I never met, did that for me. They created stories and characters and such that meant a lot to me. And I kind of just want to give back. I kind of just want to create something that somebody who's in some town somewhere, it'd be even cooler if it's in like another language, in another, like middle of Africa or something, where somebody just goes like me with anime and manga, and somebody goes like, did you see this crazy thing from Nigeria? Their primary language is actually English. They go, oh my god, see this dude? Check this out. He's from this part of the United States. He writes these crazy books, and look at these freaking characters. And it meant something. That would be kind of nice, because we don't have kids. We've got some friends and love our friends and such, but we're not like people that have like thousands of friends.
No, we don't really need thousands of friends, honestly.
Well, no, we don't.
As the old saying goes, I'd rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies. Than...
No, admittedly, I'm just simply saying that there's people out there that have like lots of people.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't. I love our family, love our friends, but it's not like we've got kids, so it's like this is what we've got. And so I'm kind of hoping on actually doing something with it at some point. Oh, it's like I said, if I get to my deathbed and I didn't get anywhere, but I had fun, and I did artistically in writing the stuff that I wanted to do, I'm okay with that. I just, would like to, be able to share some of my stuff and have people be like, oh, wow, yeah, no, dude, I got a big laugh out of that, and I was going through all this crap with the wife or the taxes or the whatever, and they go, but I read your thing, and oh, it was great, and yada, yada, and I thought it was hilarious, or all that action scene with the sci-fi trap room and the blah blah. Oh yeah, that was great. Yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be nice. Yeah, the current book that's being read right now by my editor. It's a literal combination of Thundar the Barbarian and the anime Dirty Pair. It is the most ridiculous action series I could have come up with. It is every single time I did something, I literally forced myself to go, no, crazier, weirder, stranger, more excessive, more over the top, more ridiculous, more. And actually, my editor came back with one thing. She's like, one of your characters has some serious issues we need to work out. She's like, however, the other one, she's like, this character is really good. So she's gone through the stuff and goes like, oh no, she's like, you've got something. We just need to, we need to do some more fixes and stuff here and get this all set and ready to go. She's like, you've got something here. I'm like, yay! And she's an actual editor. She's a real. I'm like, oh, like maybe I can actually get some stuff out there and it'll be awesome. That's what I'm kind of hoping for. I'd love to be an eccentric old coot. That would be amazing.
Oh, you're halfway there.
I'm working on it.
Eccentric. That is the dream of all creators. Yes, yes it is.
Mhm. It really is, right? I mean, it's just one of those things where I've even had this conversation with some friends, which I will not say who, but I've had this conversation with friends, and I'm like, well, the first thing is, and it's just in my mind, people can disagree all they like, is yes, the money thing is nice. Yes, you want to be able to, properly make your cash and pay your bills and buy a crazy little thing every once in a while. But you gotta be doing this for more than just that, because, and it's like, I was talking with James a ways back about, some of the work hours and stuff that they have. They have crazy hours. I mean, the stuff, it's like what we were just, with Last of Us 2. All this controversy online about Last of Us 2, it's all bull. I played the game. It's an amazing game. The real controversy on Last of Us 2 is the awfulness of which they treated their employees. Which was the only reason why I was conflicted in playing Last of Us 2, was how they treated their employees. That should be the controversy behind Last of Us 2. Everything else, it's a great game. It's admittedly has characters in it that you don't typically find, but it didn't make the game bad at all. It made it interesting, But you gotta do this stuff for you. That's actually what I liked about Last of Us 2. I'm like, there was content in Last of Us 2 that was so atypical that I went, that was brave. That was brave. They had something they wanted to do there. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't criticisms there. Last of Us 2 is so dark and so violent that it is probably the darkest and most violent video game I have ever played. It is. There were moments I had to look away. I was like, oh, jeez. But it had nothing to do with, gay characters or transsexual characters or what. The characters were all great. They were beautifully written, beautifully designed. I don't know what people's problem was, to be very honest with you.
Most people don't know the difference between an editor and a proofreader.
Yeah, there's a huge difference. Proofreaders are very helpful, but an editor, and fortunately I've got a real one, and she's amazing. She's working on her own books, blah blah blah. And the nice thing is she's super nice, because she knows what kind of I have symbol recognition problems. I'm not dyslexic, but I'm close to it. So I've always had problems with writing. So that was one of the reasons why I took up writing, was to go after something that I wanted to do but was very difficult. And so she's been extremely patient with me, which must have been tough, because early on my writing was horrific. I went back and I read some of the early stuff. I'm like, you're a saint for dealing with me. But she very patiently went in and went, no, like this, not like that. And at the end of it, she's going like, "I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at your school teachers for never addressing this stuff properly with you." And I'm like, well, to be honest, they probably had a tough job with me anyway. But not to say that I've licked most of my problems, as I've figured out ways around the right tools to use, the right patterns, the right time to sit down to write this and that. Because I tell you what, I sat down Saturday. Yeah, it was yesterday. I sat down yesterday to work on a chapter, and my brain could not register words. I would just sit and I stared at it and I went, I do not have the power to do this right now. And so I was kind of hoping on doing it today. Nope. So I'm going to hopefully get back into it tomorrow. But yeah, if there's a way that I could go in and Wonder Twin powers activate my skill sets in form of a career. That would be kind of awesome. Alright, clean that up a little bit.
Well, we apologize for the serious dropping of the emotional bombs here.
Emotional bombs?
Let's say we moved to another heavy topic of
Oh.
yeah.
Well, you get to a certain age and you just start looking at yourself carefully, trying to understand why things work and why things don't work. And besides, I'm not doing this as a follow along, kids at home. We're gonna draw Scooby-Doo next. We're doing this. I'm gonna draw Scooby-Doo, but I'm not gonna sit here going like, now we're gonna talk about unicorns and ice cream. That would be disingenuous.
Unicorn and ice cream is good.
I ain't saying they're not. Of course they're awesome. But there's just times where it's like, I'm 40 something. It's like, I'm a production artist. I'm a professional. I'm not, I'm not somebody that's sitting there trying to like, here, let me tell you about the drama in my life that's going on right now, and I can't believe this person on YouTube snubbed me. Who cares? No offense to people that are into that, but I look at that stuff and I go like, this is my time. I'm gonna speak my mind and draw me some cartoons, and sometimes it's going to be funny and lighthearted, and sometimes it's going to be
Not.
real. Well, but yeah, I actually do have to, going back to like the beginning of this, probably when, like an hour ago. I have to slightly change my opinion of Total Drama Rama. It is in fact not as good as the Total Drama Island and those, and I realize they're big poopy joke shows. I get it, but sometimes I'm totally in the mood for that, and they're really good at that. It is not as good as those. It is like the kiddie, silly, made specifically for the American audience kind of a show. It is, however, really fun to play in the background while you're doing stuff, because it's just like the ridiculous adventures of these silly little kids running around doing stupid stuff, and sometimes it's very funny and sometimes the jokes fall flat, but it's fun while you're just trying to work on stuff. It's really good for that.
Yeah, it's good background noise.
Yeah, it is, because you look up and you go like, man, Owen was a fat kid. You're like, run, Owen, run, and it's not like it's brilliant, but it's fun, and You know, they just had this one where they took the characters, which is what the show is. They took the characters from Total Drama Island. They made them like 4 or 5 year olds, and then they had one episode that took so long. You saw what they were like when they were like 90. So you're seeing like the different ages of the characters and stuff, and they're, you know, none of it's exactly sequential or makes a ton of sense, but it's just kind of like, it's a fun show.
Jen says, going back to the Wonder Twin powers, is the twin would always turn into a dictionary or a thesaurus. Just sad.
All right. I fully realize the DC shows the CW DC shows are not for everybody. I don't think they're the greatest shows ever. I do think, however, they're fun and they're great to play in the background when you're doing stuff.
They're good shows.
I think they're fun shows. I would not sit there and argue that they're the greatest shows ever, but I think they're fun shows. And I just finally had a chance to sit down and watch all of the Infinite Crisis stuff. And spoiler alert if you're into that. But they just ended the Infinite Crisis stuff in the Hall of Justice, essentially forming the Justice League. They grabbed the Super Friends theme song, and one of the characters, and I'm assuming is going to be in Flash, but I don't know, Gleek just escaped. They didn't show Gleek, but Gleek is in it. So I'm just sitting there, and they played the Super Friends theme song, and I just sat there just kind of going like, nice, thank you. I needed a little bit of that flashback to my childhood.
Don't get your hopes up.
But yeah, it's just, I had fun with that. That and yes, they did. And I now have, of the DC shows, I think there's strong and there's weak ones. And I think there's ones that are evolving. And the last season of Black Lightning has been really good. I really enjoyed it. And the last several seasons of Legends of Tomorrow has just, I almost peed myself laughing at a couple points, because there's a battle sequence in Legends of Tomorrow where Thong Song is Swear to God is the battle song, and I just was laughing because it was so perfectly dumb. They knew how dumb it was when they did it, and it's just hilarious. And I'm just sitting there just going over lines over and over again. I should perhaps stop sketching him at this point.
I think you're about finished.
I think I've been about finished for 20 minutes now.
You've just been chatting.
But fun. I just got through that, and I just love the fact that they did the Super Friends theme song, and they had Gleek, and I was just going like, where's this going? Because I loved Gorilla Grodd. I thought they did a pretty good job with him, so now I'm going, give me a blue space monkey. What are we doing with Gleek? You know, please let him have that freaky collar and everything. You know, like, oh yes, especially if we can get the Wonder Twins.
Return to the Beckett. I was like, wait, really? Y'all doing some Mac Morrison up in here? I love that song.
Yeah, you heard it last night.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
return of the
that's what I was watching, yeah.
was amazing. That was Legends of Tomorrow, and that's when Damien Dark came back. Yeah, exactly right.
That's what he's talking about.
Dude, I saw that, and he had the drink. And he was just whooping butt. And I love that actor. He's from Band of Brothers, and he played a completely different kind of character in Band of Brothers. But in this, he is like one of... And this is what I like about the DC shows. They get really, really good actors to play the villains. Tobias Whale is amazing. Damien Dark is amazing. Legends of Tomorrow, they got, was it John Noble as the voice of Mollis. So you had, and that was amazing. And, you know, you just go in and go like, I'm not saying they're great shows. I am saying they're really fun. Okay, I think I'm probably probably good for now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep in mind who is going to sit right here, because whoever sits right here is going to be smooching this smarmy summama right here for the rest of eternity. So there ain't a smooch because there ain't someone to go with them. But I'm kind of wondering who I'm gonna seal him in with.
That Dodgers beakful.
Well, that's the thing is I'm not necessarily against completely wrong kinds of characters doing it. Face to face in the tune smooching.
It's all love. It's all love.
It's all good. It's all good. It's just love and graphite. Oh, I almost had it. Oh, there we are.
Just this Della duck. I'm not sure about having another duck. I don't know.
I have not seen the new DuckTales, and I've been wanting to badly. But I'm also wondering, what about Donald? Those two teamed together. You've got your jerk and your basically drunk, violent sailor. That could be a great villain pair, to be honest with you. Solomon Grundy.
That's a good one.
Oh, that is good. Are we talking the Solomon Grundy from
Like the
Justice League and Justice League Unlimited? That was one of my favorites.
well, yeah.
Dang it, Grundy. That would be good, yeah.
Grundy, dang it, Grundy.
Dang it, Grundy. No, I loved Grundy in Justice League and Justice League Unlimited because he was basically a giant Hulk character. Mm-hmm. And when near the end there, where they had to put him down, that fight where he's just smashing Superman with the cars, and he was this unstoppable force. And you're like, oh, so you got all the fanboy, and like, it was a great fight. And then they put him down like a dog. Yeah. And I was like, dude, that whole scene with Hawk Girl, so good.
That was a good scene. And the thing is, like,
his pants too.
Yeah, Solomon Grundy and his pants too. All I want is pants. A decent pair of pants.
Oh my god. Poor Brainiac. For someone so smart, you sure don't know where to go look for a pair of pants, do ya? Jeez. Hey, could you note down Solomon Grundy and Donald Duck for next week?
I will write down Solomon Grundy and Donald Duck on
the
what do we do list.
Yeah. Anywho, you guys have yourself a good week.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Yeah,
Appreciate
honestly,
it.
thank you very much. It's awfully nice to hang out. Especially after the last 13, 14 weeks now. Don't get me wrong, I love being at home instead of going to the office to work and such. Life is so much easier, but I kind of missing getting out a little bit, and we've got a bunch of friends that we don't see anymore. So, not that we'll never see them again, but state of the world and all that. So thank you guys for showing up, and have yourself a good week, and we will catch you later.